I Am a Filipino by Carlos P. Romulo. I am a Filipino, inheritor of a glorious past, hostage to the uncertain future. As such, I must prove equal to a twofold task, the task of meeting responsibility to the past and the task of performing my obligation to the future. I sprung from a hardy race, child many generations removed of ancient Malayan pioneers. Across the centuries, the memory comes rushing back to me of the brown-skinned men putting out to sea in ships that were as frail as their hearts were stout. Over the sea I see them come, borne upon the billowing wave and the whistling wind, carried upon the mighty swell of hope, hope in the free abundance of a new land that is to be their home and their children's forever. This is the land they sought and found, every inch of shore that their eyes first set upon, every hill and mountain that beckoned to them with a green and purple invitation, every mile of rolling plain that their view encompassed, every river and lake that promised a plentiful living and fruitfulness of commerce is a hallowed spot to me. By the strength of their hearts and hands, by the rights of every law, human and divine, this land and all the appurtenances thereof, the black and fertile soil, the seas, lakes, and rivers teeming with fish, the forest with their inexhaustible wealth in wildlife and timber, the mountains with their bowels swollen with minerals. The whole of this rich and happy land has been here for centuries without number. The land of my fathers, this land I receive from them in trust, and in trust will pass it to my children, and so on until the world is no more. I am a Filipino. In my blood runs an immortal seed of heroes. The seed that flowered down the centuries in deeds of courage and defiance. In my veins yet pulses the same hot blood that sent Lapu-Lapu to battle against the alien foe, that drove Diego Silang and Dagohoy into rebellion against the foreign oppressor. That seed is immortal. It's the same self-seed that flowered in the heart of a Circel that morning in Bagong Bayan when a volley of shots put an end to all that was mortal of him and made his spirit deathless forever. The same that flowered in the hearts of Bonifacio at Balintawak, of Gregorio del Pilar at Piedad Pass, of Antonia Luna at Kalumpit, that bloomed in flowers of frustration in the sad heart of Emilia Aguinaldo at Palanan, and yet burst forth royally again in the proud heart of of Manuel L. Cazon, when at last he stood on the threshold of the ancient Malacanang Palace in the symbolic act of possession and racial vindication. The seed I bear within me is an immortal seed. It's the mark of my manhood, the symbol of my dignity as a human being. Like the seeds that were once buried in the tomb of Tutankhamen many thousands of years ago, it shall grow and flower and bear fruit again. It's the insignia of my race. And my generation is but a stage in the unending search of my people for freedom and happiness. I am a Filipino, child of the marriage of the East and West. The East, with its languor and mysticism, its passivity and endurance, was my mother, and my sire was the West, who came thundering across the seas with the cross and sword and the machine. I am the East, an eager participant in its spirit and struggles for liberation from the imperialist yoke. But I also know that the East must wake up from its centuried sleep, shake off the lethargy that has bound its limbs, and start moving where destiny awaits. For I too am of the West. And the vigorous people of the West have destroyed forever once the peace that was once ours, and quiet that was once ours. I can no longer live a being apart from those whose world now trembles to the roar of bombs and cannon shots. For no man and no nation is an island, but a part of a main, and there's no longer any East or West, only individuals and nations making those momentous choices that are the hinges upon which history revolves. At the vanguard of progress in this part of the world I stand, a forlorn figure in the eyes of some, but not one defeated and lost. For through the thick interlacing branches of habit and custom above me, I have seen the light of the sun, and I know it is good. I have seen the light of justice, equality, and freedom. My heart has been lifted by the vision of democracy. I shall not rest until my land and my people shall have been blessed by these beyond the power of any man or nation to subvert or destroy. I am a Filipino, and this is my inheritance. What pledge shall I give, that I may prove worthy of my inheritance? I shall give the pledge that has come ringing down the corridors of the centuries, and its hall be compounded with the joyous cries of my Malayan forebears when they first saw the contours of this land loom before their eyes, and the battle cries that have resounded in every field of combat, from Mactan to Tirad Pass, of the voices of my people when they sing, Land of the morning, child of the sun returning, never shall invaders trample thy sacred shore. I am a Filipino, born of freedom, and I shall not rest until freedom shall have been added unto my inheritance for myself and my children's forever.